an excerpt from the Arcana of the Grail Angel, the Spiritual Science of the Holy Blood and of the Holy Grail by John Barnwell. A study developed out of the work of Rudolf Steiner of the underground streams of Esoteric Christianity, which flowed from the Brotherhood of the Holy Grail to the Order of the Knights Templar and the true Rosicrucian Order. Initiation and introduction. Only for you, sons and daughters of doctrine and wisdom, have we written this work. Study this book, ponder that which we have intentionally scattered and arranged in a few places. What we have hidden in one place, we have manifested in another, in order that it could be understood from your wisdom. That's a quote from De Occulta Philosophia by Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa von Nettesheim, 1533 A.D. Standing on the threshold of the next millennium, mankind finds itself faced with questions that are increasingly difficult to answer. These questions are of such a nature that more and more people are searching in other lands, cultures, and times to find spiritual fulfillment. That they are searching down paths perhaps unknown to their ancestors shows that the traditions of their ancestors may have fallen short of bringing the fulfillment that they strive for, due to the manner in which they were presented. And yet, the traditions of the West are more than capable of meeting these needs, but perhaps not in the form that it has been presented to them. It is in response to this quest that I have written this book. Not that I have all the answers, but rather as a humble attempt to explore certain key questions. For it is by improving our questions that we will empower ourselves to meet the future on its own terms, and hopefully someday live into the answer. Under the name of the perennial philosophy is frequently described the spiritual heritage of all times, peoples, and lands. This term, Philosophia Perennis, was suggested by Agostino Stoico in the year 1540 to describe the universal sacred tradition. Rightly understood, this perennial philosophy is humanity's greatest treasure. On the surface, one might think that, on account of certain similarities, the various traditional teachings are all the same. This is due in part to certain truths that are shared amongst all genuine traditions. In actuality, it is through their differences that the various traditions have acquired their unique value to mankind. For these traditions were each given in a form that was appropriate for a particular group of people to meet the needs of the time and place in which they lived. If it is spiritual fulfillment that we strive for, then this fulfillment must be included in our vision of the future and of ourselves. One thing held in common to all ancient cultures was the idea that an individual could, through initiation, come to a deeper relationship with the world and themselves. Some form of initiation has been available in all ages and lands, for by its nature, initiation must change to meet the needs of the time and place. Contrary to what some might say, humanity is evolving, and so must the path of initiation evolve. That consciousness evolves is one of the central teachings of all true esoteric spiritual streams. Part of the difficulty in finding a path of initiation that it is appropriate for modern humanity is the fact that the nature of initiation has changed throughout history in order to meet the changing nature of human consciousness. Furthermore, initiation has not always been available to everyone as it is today. For in ancient times, people were selected for initiation and had to meet very strict conditions to achieve their initiation. The strict limitation on gaining access to initiatic teachings has changed in the present day. For the methods of initiation are available in the spiritual scientific works of Dr. Rudolf Steiner to all who have a healthy capacity of perseverance and understanding. And furthermore, spiritual science does not require that you believe in the insights shared, but rather that one only suspends their disbelief. In these spiritual scientific works are revealed what Rudolf Steiner chose to call anthroposophy, which means human wisdom. Anthropos, human, Sophia, wisdom. Anthroposophy is unique because, in addition to his scientific training, Rudolf Steiner was also a very highly developed clairvoyant and an initiate. And he was able to combine clairvoyance and science into a true spiritual science. Due to the nature of the higher worlds, there exists what's known in occultism as the Akashic record, where the actions of all of evolution are contained in permanent impressions within the cosmic memory. The Akashic record can be perceived by those initiates who are sufficiently clairvoyant to experience time as spatial. Literally speaking, the mysteries of time are revealed spatially to the clairvoyant gaze of initiate. Rudolf Steiner has given mankind a great treasure by sharing so much of the content of this permanent record of the history of the cosmos and mankind. As he once stated in his closing remarks of a lecture series given in Vienna in August of 1909, that was published under the title East and the Light of the West, quote, "We have reached a point in civilization now where the elementary teachings of initiation are beginning to be disclosed." End quote. Also in this same work, Rudolf Steiner gives an aspect of the significance of the Akashic record. Quote, "What is here stated need not necessarily be acquired from historical tradition. Suppose, for example, that the initiate wisdom of ancient and venerable India, of the Persian sages, of the Egyptian initiations, or of the Greek mysteries had all been lost. Suppose no external documents of any kind whatever were left to tell us of the pristine teachings concerning the spiritual foundations of our earth evolution. Even then, the possibility of developing supersensible consciousness would not be lost. Everything that is said here can be discovered by means of supersensible knowledge, without the aid of any historical document. We have to do with something which at the present time can be studied at its source. Even mathematics may also be learned from original sources." End quote. Rudolf Steiner further described the objective nature of his scientific clairvoyant observations that are presented in Anthroposophy in a letter which he wrote to Eliza von Moltke on the 12th of August, 1904. Quote, "In matters like these, I am merely an instrument of higher beings whom I revere in complete humility. Nothing is my merit, nothing is dependent upon me. The only thing I can claim for myself is the strict training I have undergone, which protects me from any fantasy or illusion. This has been my first rule. What I experience spiritually is therefore free from any imagination, any deception, any superstition." End quote. In the works of Rudolf Steiner are to be found the fruits of his investigations of the spiritual world and of the Akashic record, which portray in the spiritual scientific language of anthroposophy how mankind has been gradually evolving throughout human history towards becoming a more perfect expression of the Spirit. This gradual path of spiritual becoming or initiation is the science of the Holy Grail. And now a quote from Novalis, who was born in 1772 and passed in 1801. Quote, "Time is inner space. Space is outer time."